Hi.
Commissioner Rod Beck. How
Yes.
are you, sir?
I'm great. It's good to be here. Good to be with you.
Yeah, well, you and I haven't done a show since the Prop 1 debate.
We haven't done a show since that.
You forgot your line.
No, I remember it, but
Come
I'm
on.
trying to think what they were calling it. They called it ranked choice voting. We called it fraud voting or something.
No, you called it a jungle primary.
Oh, yeah.
I think the way you said it, if I may, it's a deceptive bait and switch.
That's it. Deceptive bait and switch. And it seems the people
It's a
of
jungle primary, but it's even worse. That's my best interpretation.
And actually, the people of Idaho agreed with us.
Yeah.
Did they even get 30%?
I think it was roughly like 70-30.
Yeah,
but I
70-30.
think,
The people of Idaho agreed because we can't put an initiative on the ballot that's hard to understand, and that one was. I had several people that moved up here from California, and they were Democrats, and they said, "I don't understand that. What does that do? I'm going to vote no."
Yeah. That was I actually really appreciate that. Not just your participation in helping, talk about it, because I did like 7 interviews on it, and one of them, so 3-4, 3 against, and then the debate with you and Hiram. And it just like by the end, I understood it. But again, it took a lot to get all the different sides out. It wasn't just a cut and dry thing. Yeah.
And Hiram, you remember, I asked him, he kept saying, "Well, it's these extreme Republicans." I said, "Well, what? Tell me something you didn't agree with." And he wouldn't. Remember that?
Yeah. But he had a fair point. He's like, do you want me to, he was like really methodical in his speech. He's like, do you want me to name every single policy from 2012 on? And I was I was sitting here and
I just said,
I can't do
any policy would be fine.
Yeah.
But he was more than happy with his legislators.
Madison County.
He loved them.
Yeah.
But he wanted to help pick mine.
Well, I don't know if he really wanted to pick Ada County, but I see what you're saying. I get your point.
He wanted to have to put a law in that would change the way we do it. Yeah.
But bottom line, I was really happy to engage in those interviews and then see the process work out, which is the people got to decide, and they made it very clear what they wanted or didn't want. And somebody told me afterwards, they were like, "Well, yeah, this is why we need to get rid of the ballot initiative." And it was just in a conversation, I was like, "Oh, but didn't the ballot initiative work?" Right? People got what the ballot initiative wouldn't work if it was 70% against, but it passed anyway. That's when it doesn't work. So it's like, there you go.
And Reclaim Idaho did something that was, I think it was almost impossible to do. The Idaho Republican Party was 100% unified in opposition. Because they're fighting now about different things.
Yeah, right. I have heard that too.
You've heard that, yeah.
So
anyway,
listen,
that was a good thing to get everybody unified and on the same page.
But the better thing, you guys in Ada County are addressing energy. Something that I'm very concerned about as of late, and doing a lot of work on 2 specific the projects that I want to chat with you about. One's a project, and that's the methane capture at our landfill, which is wild. We've contracted, and correct me if I'm wrong, we've contracted with a company. They're capturing it. We get a payout every single month, and
well, and that is maybe people don't understand that one byproduct of a landfill is methane gas, but it's really nasty, dirty methane gas. Now, what we've been doing with it a long time is we pipe it off to an area, and this same company owns there's 2 engines there, and they burn the methane gas, but we take out some of the junk that's in the methane.
Sure. But
it'll still work. And if you've been over there, it sounds like 2 great big diesel engines. They create electricity, and then they sell the electricity to Idaho Power. Well, if you also notice, right, the side of that, there's 2 flares, and 60% of the methane gas that was coming out of the landfill was being flared, just burnt up in this.
I was just lost.
Yeah, just lost. And so this company came to us and they said, "Well, hey," I asked them, I said, "Well, why don't you just put a couple more engines there and burn it and make more electricity?" They said, "Well, we can't because we're limited. The Idaho Power is limited by the PUC to what they can pay us for that electricity, and it just doesn't pay off to buy 2 new engines, and we couldn't get a return on our investment." That's why they didn't do that, because they couldn't get enough money out of it from Idaho Power. So they said, "But we do have this other idea, we can probably use all of the methane coming out of there, but we'd have to put in I call it a giant filter.
Okay.
Because have you ever seen it?
No, I was just going to say, whoever's doing this, I would love it if you would be so kind to connect with them. I'd love to go see it.
Oh yeah, we had
this
a
is wild.
we had a grand opening and stuff. We advertised it. You just didn't get the message, I guess. Yeah. But we did.
I'm busy, Rob.
Oh, okay. I know. But we had a lot of people there, and to demonstrate. There was a lot of people from Intermountain Gas. Because see what they do. It's a huge filter because there's a lot of really nasty stuff in the methane, because you can imagine, look at all the stuff that goes in the landfill.
Sure. Whatever is deteriorating, rotting.
And that's what it is. And it deteriorates. And it's a lot of us coming from the old one. See, there's two landfills there. There's Hidden Hollow, and then there's this one. And the Hidden Hollow is right there, and they closed it. They capped it off. But it's still creating methane gas.
Sure.
Yeah, and it'll keep creating methane gas for ever how long. And so this company, they went out and borrowed a bunch of money and had some investors, and they built this. It's a big plant, and they take and put we pipe it right to them, and then it goes into their system, and they clean it up. And there's a lot of processes that has to go through to clean up the methane gas, and then pure methane comes out the other end, and then they pipe it down into the Intermountain Gas's pipeline. And from there, they can either sell it to Intermountain Gas or they can sell it to another vendor somewhere. But then it's sort of fungible. They can do what they want to with it.
So instead of losing the 60%, and converting the other 40%, they were like, okay, but there's another buyer for this if we can just get it cleaned up.
Yeah.
So they had to invest in cleaning up, and then Intermountain Gas is like, sure, man, pump it into the pipeline.
And it has to fit certain standards. It has to be pure.
Yeah.
And so they're testing it all the time because they don't want to put a bunch of junk into their pipeline.
Sure.
So it has to be if it's not. And there's ways to test it, and they test it, and it goes in there, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a win-win. The company, they're going to make money because they're still working on it. It's still not up. It still has some issues that they need to fix, but they'll do that because they're smart people, and we'll make arrangements for you to take a look at it because you'll be impressed.
I would love to, specifically because the gas rights got purchased up a couple years ago. So theoretically, it's like there's no more gas in the pipeline capacity to be purchased by any individuals. Like I think Idaho Power grabbed the last remaining gas rights. And there are these problems with these finite resources, be it water, right? Here's one for you. The Boise Public Works takes waste, like our waste, from, residents of Boise, cleans everything up. Some goes to farm, and then 30,000 acre feet of clean water goes into the Boise River. Now they're looking at ways of actually, instead of dumping it into the Boise River, they're looking at ways of actually rerouting it through different processes to hit a certain quality metric to be able to use that as industrial water for, say, like the Micron expansion, things of that nature. And my question is like, okay, but you've made 30,000 acre feet of water out of junk. That has some kind of value because there are no water rights left in Idaho. So like whoever gets the rights to that 30,000 acre feet of water, that's a really interesting question. Like who owns that? Is that Boise Public Works? Is that, what is it? Same thing with this. There's no more gas that you can get, but we're getting gas out of places that didn't exist or because of processes that didn't exist before and making more capacity.
Oh yeah. And there's enough gas that will eventually come out of that to take care of like 30,000 homes. I mean, there's a lot of gas that's going to come out of it, and it's a win-win too. The company is going to see Idaho, the Ada County. We didn't expend any taxpayer money to do it. We just agreed to do it, and we get a royalty. And
this is the part that I like.
Yeah, we get a royalty, and as when they get up to production, we could make as much as $1 million, depending on how much they were. And the more Ada County grows, the more gas will be generated, and so that royalty could even increase, and it could increase up to about $1 million a year. And what that does, that goes into the landfill is an enterprise fund, and the enterprise fund is when, like here at in your studio here, you're in the unincorporated areas,
yes.
And so Hardin comes and picks up your trash,
sure,
and they take it up there. Well, they pay through you. They pay a tipping fee. and so it's self-sustaining. We're one of the few counties that we don't charge any property tax at all for the landfill. It's all user fees, and there's if you take a pickup load of your own trash up there, you pay a fee to dump it there. In fact, I was surprised. We got another report a little while back. There's about 30% of the total revenue is from self-haulers, people that are just hauling stuff up themselves. It's amazing.
I've been up there many times.
There you go.
Great. Yeah,
it's easy because you can just haul it up there and dump it.
Yeah, right off Siemens Gulch, it's like 10 minutes away. It's a piece of cake.
Exactly. And anyway, the revenues that's generated from this gas plant, it's a product that we have to take care of the gas, because if we don't take care of the methane, it gets into the groundwater. And so we are required by federal edict, and we want to do it anyway, take care of the gas. The gas is a natural product, and the revenue that we generate will keep your cost of picking up your garbage down. It's a win-win for everybody. They make a profit. We don't have to charge as much for the tipping fees because it goes into the overall revenues of the landfill. It's a win-win for everybody. It's environmentally clean. We get a bunch of energy credits out of it as well. It's a good situation for Ada County.
And you make energy. You make something out of nothing. You make something valuable out of something that was just being burned off, and
it was over 60%. About 60% of the gas was being just burned, flared they call it, and the other was being used in those engines making electricity.
Yeah,
but we were not getting as much out of that. The percentage we're getting, so we just get royalties. Yeah. We don't have to come up with any money.
You don't have to, no capital outlay.
We have no capital outlay. This company has put in a lot of money. A lot of money. You'll see it if you look at it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. We can make arrangements for you to look at it if you want to see it.
I genuinely want to go up and check it out.
And it's on this side of the. You can access. You know where the bike park is there?
Yes.
Just a little ways past there, and drive. There's a little road there. Just drive right to it.
Perfect. Yeah. I know this is probably not a possibility, but is there any like thermal power? Like if you ran pipes and had some kind of like heat exchange in the landfills as well, is that like a thing? Because it gets pretty hot in there, right? With underneath the ground, subterranean stuff, like where all the essentially fermentation and breakdown processes are happening.
I don't think so.
No. Okay.
Because that is one of the things that creates the methane is the heat. And,
right.
And the way it.
However it does, the bacterial.
But no, there's not a.
That's not a viable heat source or anything.
No, there was a proposal 10 or 15 years ago, and it just didn't work out to do something like that. But it just didn't work out. But this one will, and it's working. They're actually selling gas, but they still got a few kinks to have to work out. As any new product, if you look at it, you go, wow, that's big.
Yeah. The reason I asked about the pipes is there was a sciencey kind of thing, like off-grid water heaters that, look, I get into prepper stuff sometimes. Years back, I watched this video on building an off-grid water heater where you essentially take you got to take a lot of piping, like the black irrigation piping, circled around, and you do layers of hay stacked in between all the way up. And as the hay decomposes, it actually heats all the piping water, so you can turn on a pump cold water in the winter through, and you get really hot water at the end. But that's probably just some janky, idiot kind of,
That's probably some janky thing. I don't know. I've not heard. That'd be you'd have to stack a lot of hay up. I grew up on a farm. We cut hay, and I hauled a lot of hay, and it was a potato farm, but we still had rotated our crops, so we had hay and grain.
Yeah,
I hauled a lot of hay, and to make it heat, you got to stack up a lot of hay.
Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run an experiment in my place this winter. I'm going to stack up a bunch of hay, get some piping. I'm going to invite you over, and we're going to watch how hot it gets. It'll be great. It'll be fantastic. Awesome on that. And yes, again, for the 10th time, I'd love to go see it and check it out and talk to those people. The other big thing that is,
in fact, we've got an education event center there that we're changing we're moving the old office that used to be there when you first drive in.
Okay.
Off on the left, on the right hand side of the road. That's now going to be an education event center. You can go in there and see what goes on in the landfill.
Oh, fantastic. Great. Okay.
Because we moved the office up the hill a ways.
Gotcha. Yeah. The other big piece is something that is, and again, you probably be limited in exactly what you can tell about it just because it's something that's being considered currently. But there's an idea that, hey, look, within Ada County, you have some ag land. And we have rolling hills and we have different water restrictions. So it's possible that there is agricultural land within Ada County that's privately owned that somebody's saying, look, I either don't have the water rights to continue farming on this in certain particular areas, or say there's, a hill or whatever, and it's not conducive to agriculture. People are starting to say, hey, what if I popped some solar panels here, right? Like, would it be all right? I have, let's say, 3 acres or something that I can't really farm on, but I could put solar panels here. I don't need the land for anything else. Is that something that could happen? And this is a question that has come under the kind of gaze of the county commissioner, saying, look, do we want our ag land in Ada County, be it ag land in production now or not? Do we want to allow large swaths of ag land, however large it might be, even though it's on private property? Do we want this going under the use of, say, renewable energy like solar? This is something that is being considered right now, correct?
Yes, it is. In fact, for the last 4 years, we have been undergoing a major rewrite of our whole comprehensive plan, and we've hired a consultant. And what we wanted to do is to make it easier to use, easier to understand, because it's a pretty thick book, and it includes everything. And for the first time, our staff and our planning and zoning committee said, well, maybe we ought to try and figure out zones for solar panels, and that's hard to do because, like you say, because when we had a hearing on the whole rewrite of our comprehensive plan, we had a whole room full of people. Half of them wanted solar anywhere, and the other half didn't want solar anywhere. So we're trying to walk that tightrope between the two, because there is a place for solar energy.
Sure.
And it has the technology has improved drastically over the last few years. And one of the main things that has improved on the technology is not only the panels, but the batteries. Because 20 years ago, you'd build a solar farm, you didn't have batteries to store the excess energy. Now they do. In fact, one of the questions we had a solar project that was way out south and off the freeway there, and I asked the developer. I said, "Well, Idaho Power used to have to, because they're a utility that have a monopoly on buying electricity.
Sure,
they have to always have enough generating capacity to meet peak demand. Well, if you have a solar farm and a windmill, then they used to have to buy that. They don't have to anymore, but they used to have to buy the wind power and the solar power. This is years ago. And so what Idaho Power was having to do is they'd have to build another power plant to meet peak demand, and then they built that into the rate base, and they didn't like it because they'd have to increase everybody's rates that they were paying for power just so they could use the electricity, because they'd have to build a new power plant and then they build that into the rate. So they didn't like doing that. So I asked the developer of this solar, I said, what kind of things do you do for does Idaho Power still have that process to meet peak demand? They didn't know. So we got Idaho Power in just to see with the Board of Commissioners to find that out. And they said, no, we don't have to do that anymore. We have batteries. And those batteries store enough energy to meet peak demand. And then they can use those batteries to store electricity. And if they have too much electricity that they generate out of their dams, they can sell it. California or Arizona or somewhere. Right. They can sell it because we're all hooked up together with our infrastructure. And so there's batteries on it. But batteries have a problem. You may have heard about it. In Melba, Idaho Power had a battery out there that caught fire. And there's no way to put it out. They just had to burn it out. And I guess it caused some smell in Melba. And so we had there was a big solar company, which it's an oil company. It's funny because these solar are generally owned by oil companies.
Yeah, they're energy companies.
Yeah, energy companies, yeah. And they had a gigantic proposal out by Melba and Cuna, and it was in Canyon County, and it was also in Ada County. And so they were have a hearing because we didn't have specific zones before. All we had was a conditional use permit. They'd have to come and tell us what they were going to do, how they were going to do it, and we turned that one down. And one of the reasons we turned it down is it was a gigantic project that they didn't have their stuff all together, and we had a room full of people. They had T-shirts and stuff. Vote no. The neighborhood, so it didn't fit well within that neighborhood. And they later came back to us and said, "Well, we admit we overshot it. We're going too big." But part of what you have to have when you have a solar plant is you have to have a place, have to have power lines.
Sure.
Where they can hook up power. And then they have to have their own batteries. And that was part of the problem out there. It was close to Melba. Melba's actually in Canyon County, but it was close out there because this included property in Canyon County, property in Ada County. And they were going to put their batteries and their transmission lines in Canyon County. And they hadn't even considered it yet. So, with us, it was just too premature to even. Yeah, right. And it was farmland. And so we're looking at that right now. A proposal is to should we limit and only zone solar panels in areas that are not prime agricultural land of statewide significance? I think that's how it's worded. But then I'm going, how do you define that? How do you define prime ag land of statewide significance?
May I ask a question?
Sure.
When we come down to that designation of like, hey, this is private land. Now it's private ag land, it's private land, and it's significant to us for whatever reason. Once we go down the road of, hey, we're not going to let you do whatever you want to do with your land because it's significant to us, and so we're not going to let you do solar. Like that. That's kind of it seems to me that's a little bit of a slippery slope. I'm not saying there's not precedence for it. If there is, I have no idea, but that's a weird thing.
And I agree. And that's part of the reason that I am actually, and we're still we're a long ways from getting this buttoned up. I mean, we had a discussion and we've had all kinds of input. And so we're beyond that. We've closed the public hearing on it. So we can't accept any new issues, but we can fine tune the language, and that's what we're doing right now is trying to fine tune the language because I agree with you. However, that's what zoning does all the time. I mean, you can't put a certain kind of product right here in.
Yeah, we can't make this house into a Chinese food restaurant.
Exactly.
Legally.
Well, and it's private property.
Yeah,
so you see, that is what zoning does by its very nature.
Sure.
Is take some of the property rights away from the owner of the property.
Sure.
For the betterment of the community. And so we're trying to work through how we're going to do that with solar, because solar is, I guess it has its use, but it's lost a lot of its from what I understand. I'm not a tax accountant, but I understand that the federal government used to provide all kinds of subsidies, and I think they're going away right now. I think it was part of that big beautiful bill that was passed this summer.
Gotcha.
Is some of the, again, I don't understand it. I don't pretend that I know all about it, but from what I've read, a lot of the subsidy for the wind and solar is going away.
Gotcha.
So, and that's fine. I think that it needs to stand on its own anyway.
Sure. Yeah, eventually they do. I mean, what's interesting is there are subsidies across the entire energy sector, like gas, oil, like all of these things get subsidized in one way or another. So it's I spoke with, very fortunate to have a conversation with Senator Crapo recently, and he was saying that they were attempting to, or his target eventually was to get to an energy incentive policy that was ambivalent to the energy source. It's like, listen, you got oil, you got solar, you got gas, you got you got whatever.
Well, and that'd be fine because you go to your service station, you pull into a Maverick or a Jackson or whatever one. Right on the label it says up to 10% ethanol. That's a subsidy to the ethanol farmers, to the corn farmers. That's where that ethanol comes from. And ethanol is not the best for your consumption. In fact, if you talk to a small engine repair shop, they'll say, "Oh, we love ethanol," because they require a lot more repairs because it's.
That's why. So I recently I have a 9-year-old, and he's like really into motorsport. And so we got him a used 4-wheeler recently for his birthday, just a little guy. And the guy I got it from said, "No, make sure you use the non-ethanol stuff on that. You can get it like Jackson's or something."
Oh, you can get the non-ethanol stuff. You have to pay a little bit more for it, but you can get the non-ethanol stuff, and that's why he told you to do that, because it
preserves the life of the engine.
It preserves the life of the engine. You don't have to have as many repairs. I mean, you talk to a small engine person and they'll say, "Oh, we love ethanol." That keeps them busy.
Yeah. So bottom line is, again, your point's very well made, which is, look, the nature of zoning and permitting and whatnot is that we're trying to figure out how things place best together, right? Like, you don't want a gas station in the middle of a residential neighborhood, right? You're not putting a Chinese food spot, next door to your house.
Or what they like to say, we don't want a pig farm next to your house.
Yeah, no pig farms.
No pig farms. Or you don't want a gigantic chicken farm. Those kinds of things. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And you do it for the betterment of the whole community. And I think that's what we're trying to work through, that jigsaw puzzle, if you will, for solar. Because we had a whole chapter, big changes to our comprehensive plan, but all everybody wanted to talk about was solar, because it was the first time it had ever been put in the plan.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, because our power consumption and power problems, right, as far as the growing demand.
Oh, absolutely. Profound. And what's really increasing it, you've seen these out in Cuna. Meta's got the gigantic storage thing for processing computers.
Yeah, data center. Yeah,
data center, and it consumes a massive amount of electricity, and so does every one of these AI things. And the reason is because you don't turn your computer on and have it going without it using up a lot of energy. It uses a lot of energy, and that's happening more and more. And there's going to be more AI. I even know how to use Chat GPT a little bit.
Look at you. Somebody said, I had a guest coming on today, and he sent me, he was like, "What are we talking about?" Kind of had some ideas. And all of a sudden, 2 seconds later, I get this long, elaborate text with all these outlines and bullet points, stuff like, "There's no way in hell you wrote that." He's like, he's like, "Listen, man, I'm trying to optimize." It was really funny.
And it's a big thing. My daughter is an English teacher here in the Eagle High School. She teaches English, and one of the things that she has to look out for all the time is when she asks her people. In fact, she's getting to where you can only write your stuff in the classroom, because she has kids that will turn the whole paper in, and she has a way to. Yeah. Hey, this was a Chat GPT thing. This is not, so you can't use it.
Yeah, I had a professor. He was way ahead of his time, but instead of sending us home with term papers, he was like, "Just bring a blue book in. You're going to have 2 hours. I'll give you 3 prompts to choose from. Pick whichever prompt you want and start writing."
Start writing.
Right. So you had to be prepared.
But it does have its uses. I mean,
of course.
My daughter teaches English. She uses Chat GPT to help answer emails and do all kinds of things. But it's personalized, and it's for a business purpose.
Dude, I should use it for email answering.
She's got. Well, in fact, I know several guys. The guy that helps run my campaign, he does that all the time. He gets a lot of emails, and he's got it set to it answers. He'll tell them how to answer. He'll you got to personalize it.
Yeah.
But then it writes it, and then he looks at it. "Oh yeah, that's good.
That's good enough." Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I don't, I use it for some things, but it's like, for instance, I had a question about urban growth or urban renewal districts the other day, and I was like, gosh, who am I going to call? And then literally, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not calling anyone. 15 minutes later, I can tell you all about urban renewal districts, who's funding them, how they get funded, where the money goes, all this stuff. Like, God bless it, man. Like, the information's there.
Oh yeah, and I tell you, in fact, the legislature this last year, they passed a law regarding urban renewal districts, and specifically with the TIF, the tax increment financing, because that's where they get most of their money, through this tax increment financing. And the legislature, they said, well, hey, we got these first responders, the fire and the EMS.
Right.
And so when you pass one of these urban renewal districts with the tax increment financing, it takes some money away from all the taxing districts.
Right.
Now, it doesn't take it away. It
redirects it. It redirects it for reinvestment later.
It locks in what the current assessed value is, and when they get growth, if they build some new buildings and stuff, that's what they're supposed to do is incentivize growth. And when they get new growth, then the new taxes on it goes to the urban renewal district, not to the taxing district.
Right.
And so the thought was, because our across the state, our fire and our EMS is underfunded. And so they said, well, how about if they don't have any debts, because it's supposed to be for debt or a current obligation, then they are supposed to, if the EMS requests it, they're supposed to take them out of it, out of just the urban, and it's just a small amount. So we did that. We with our EMS, because see, we run Ada County runs all the EMS in Ada County,
Right.
and so we ask all the urban renewal districts to follow that law. None of them did.
Wait, what?
None of them did. They said, "Oh no, we got obligations," and we got. And so
This is something that has just like contemporarily happened?
Oh yeah, it just happened. The law was passed a year ago, and you had to make the request by a certain amount of time in June, I think it was, or no, the end of May. You had to put the request in the end of May. Then they get a certain amount of time where they can analyze it. And what they're supposed to do is, if they have debts, because that's how an urban renewal district runs, is if they have a debt, they'll issue a debt to build infrastructure or to do something to improve the area, and then that's supposed to motivate private business to build there.
Yeah, more fertile earth for whatever. Right.
Yeah, and then they use the money that they get from the new taxes to pay the debt.
Right.
And so the legislature, I thought it was a well thought out plan. They said, well, hey, if you're not paying debt on it, you should give it back to the first responders, to the EMS and to the fire, if they ask for it.
Right.
We asked for it, and none of them did it. I don't know what's going to happen. I think you should never bite the bear. And so I think the legislature is going to take a pretty close look and see what the deal is. I don't know.
And to be clear, something like say there's a portion of the city of Eagle that's like a little dilapidated, but more specifically the sewer line going out to it. It would be prime for some kind of industrial or some kind of commercial, but the sewer line going out to it's junk. And no developer is going to take on the burden of fixing that sewer line. So they do an urban growth boundary, or excuse me, urban renewal district. They borrowed, say, $2 million to fix a sewer line. And then people start building in that area because like, perfect. I've been looking for land, sewer's upgraded. I can do this thing. Whoever or whatever builds there, be it industrial, commercial, whatever it might be, that increases the tax base, and that increase in tax base goes back to paying back the $2 million in debt.
That's the purpose of an urban renewal district. Yes.
Yeah, and so then it's like, wait a minute, if you guys are out of debt, if you're not paying back a $2 million loan or something, then stop taking money away from EMS and fire. And they're like, nah, I'm not about that life.
Well, again, I don't know all the details. We got letters back from them saying, "Oh no, we got obligations and we can't do it." But I think that there might be some sort of an audit or something from the legislature. When the legislature acts, you need to react, and they did, but it wasn't positively.
Yeah, man.
And it was a lot. I mean, 'cause there's a lot of them. There's like 6 TIFs in just Boise Urban Renewal District. Yeah. There's Eagle has one, Star has them. I think CUNA, I know, has them. I mean, Meridian has 3 or 4. I mean, there's a lot of those urban renewal districts.
Man, wild times. I'll tell you what, talking to all the people throughout the Treasure Valley, Ada County people, I mean, it's, first off, Meridian, they're like no comers. Again, everybody's running unopposed. I guess people are very happy with Meridian.
Well, yeah. In fact, it's amazing because another piece of legislation that was passed a few years ago, you've heard the area of impact.
Enlighten me.
Every city, they can say, well, this is our area of impact. It's not in city boundaries yet, but this is an area of impact. So then we, as a county, because we want to participate, we want to cooperate with our partners, and so we will then adopt their comprehensive plan in that area of impact.
Gotcha.
And so when they annex it, if they do, then it's
in line with their comprehensive plan.
It's in line with their comprehensive plan. It's called area of impact. Right. Well, they got here a couple of cities, Middleton and Star, got in a fight here a few years ago because Star annexed some area in Canyon County, and Middleton, way over there, said, "Wait a minute, that's our area of impact. You can't do that." We went to court and all kinds of things. And so the state legislature said, "Well, we got to fix that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they did, and what they did is, see, it used to be a city could, well, here, we want that as our area of impact. We want that as our area of impact. And then you get some cities kind of clashing.
Yeah.
Well, what this legislation did is it said, okay, counties are in charge of the area of impact. You have to ask the county, say, this is where we want our area of impact to be. And then the county, in fact, and we've got them all, we got all the cities in Ada County has now put in a request. And then we have to analyze it. We have our planning and zoning analyze it. And then we ask them some questions. And then we decide what's going to be their area of impact. And we're getting some interesting things happening. One, the city of Boise, they want, and there's some further restrictions because the law now says if you're planning on providing city services and if you plan on annexing within 5 years, you're entitled to have that area of impact. Well, there's an area south of the freeway between like Cole and Eagle Road, got out south there. There's 40,000 people live in that area. And there's sewer lines everywhere. And it's been in the city of Boise's area of impact for 15 years. A long time. I'm not sure if it's been a long time.
Sure.
And so we're sitting there going, well, we don't want to tell you when to annex. That's up to you. But why don't you open the sewer lines up out there? Because there's a lot of sewer line and the sewer capacity is there. There's about roughly 400 to 500 acres. Not all in one spot, just spread out.
Sure.
A 2-acre parcel here, a 5-acre parcel there, a 3-acre, and that's called infill. That fits in perfect with Boise's
flow. Yeah.
Yeah, they want to do infill, but they say, well, they put a moratorium on sewer hookups. The infrastructure is there. The sewer lines are there. The production is there. The capacity is there. In fact, they have a great big main line going under the freeway at Cloverdale to go down to their sewer lines. And we're saying, well, why don't you? Well, we want to prevent sprawl. But what's happened? They maybe have prevented a little sprawl out there. Why do you think Meridian and Eagle and Star is growing so fast? That's where it's going. And it just doesn't make sense to me. We're trying to work with the city of Boise to say, hey, open up your sewer lines so you can, again, I don't want to suggest to anybody, any city, that they annex an area that they don't want to annex.
Yeah, sure.
They got their own reasons for not wanting to annex it. But if they had the city services there, if they have the sewer capacity, there could be 400 or 500 acres in small pieces. I think the largest piece that's in that area that's not developed is 20 acres. It's all small pieces here and there. Just drive out there, you'll see it. And these sewer lines are everywhere. And private developers paid for them to put the sewer lines in. And well, why don't we hook those areas? And it's all it would take is the city of Boise to pass a resolution saying, yes, you can hook up.
Call the mayor, Ron.
I have.
Mayor.
I have.
Let's call her right now.
That'd be fine. Get her in here. We'll have a Hiram deal with her.
Oh my God. Could you imagine? I can't become the hotbed for like crazy debates. Not that you and Hiram are crazy, but
no.
Yeah.
Well, and I get along well with
of
with
course,
the mayor.
of course.
I get along with the city council. In fact, I think there's probably could be the votes on the city council to do that. I don't know, but then the question is, why do you want, if you're in your area of impact, if you have the services available and you don't want to open it up to use the services? Because it's available.
Yeah.
It wouldn't cost them anything. There's properties out there, and the people out there want it. Because the people out there, they were promised that when they bought those homes, that they could have commercial areas, that they could maybe get a Trader Joe's or some commercial property out
services.
there.
Yeah.
But they can't do it if they don't have more
Utility hookup, yeah.
Well, no more roofs and utility hookups.
Gotcha.
They got to have more rooftops out there to make it profitable for an
enterprise to go after it.
For an enterprise to hook up out there, and and the people out there, they want commercial properties to make it easier to live, so they don't have to go so far to shop. They can go. They just want more commercial, but you have to have more properties, more homes, to make it affordable for commercial to go out there. I mean, it's an easy thing, but anyway, I think it's really. But the thing is, if we don't agree to an area of impact, then they don't have one. Their area of impact is their city boundary. It's a pretty solid law that the legislature passed a few years ago.
The life of a county commissioner.
Oh yeah. Well, and by the way, and thank you. I really enjoy the job.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it because it's different every day. I mean, every day there's something different that we deal with. You know, you've seen the development we got going on at Expo. I mean, that's going to be crazy.
When is that done? That has to be done by the end of 25 or 26.
Well, the park has to be done by the end of 26.
Okay.
So, and it'll be done. It'll be done by, because we're ahead of schedule. Actually, we've got a really good contractor out there.
Great.
And that's going to be it's going to be a regional beauty. I mean, we're going to get people traveling from all because it is so different. It's got those ridges. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And it's right next to it's going to be hooked up to the green belt.
Yeah.
And it's going to have a world-class skate park.
Yeah.
In fact,
Tom came in and he had all these plans. I remember talking to him. I was like, dude, if you have like a skate park, I got to get like my rollerblades out.
Oh, and we're going to have a rollerblade thing around. Yeah, we're going to have a rollerblade park. And that was funny how that shows you what public input could do. Because
that's what he said. He said the group came forward and they're like, don't forget us. And they, again,
it was a bunch of ladies. I couldn't believe we were having a public hearing at the turf club there. And I pulled into the parking lot, and the parking lot was filled full of cars with ladies in it. We got in there, and they said, "Don't forget about us. We know you're doing a skate park there. Well, let's get us a roller." So now there's going to be a rollerblade thing there too. There's rollerblade and the skate park. Get this, it has been planned and developed, designed by the very same company that designed the skate park for the Paris Olympics. They're telling us, you guys have no idea what you're building here. You're going to have people. They're going to have regional competitions.
Yeah.
Regional competition is going to be right there.
I love that draw. I've been talking to all of the people in Garden City, running for Garden City mayor and city council. They're all everybody's trying to figure out like, how do we grab a piece of this cheese? The number of people coming in and the nightlife and the whole thing.
Well, and we didn't even talk about pro soccer.
I know.
Pro soccer. I had no idea. They just approached us because we were trying to move that Ladybird Park back there, and we couldn't get the cooperation of the government entities involved in it. But then we said, well, we're thinking about maybe putting a couple of just soccer fields in just for enjoyment and entertainment. And the pro soccer people said, hey, you got that big grandstand there. And so we worked out an arrangement. And I had no idea when they had a reveal where they just revealed their logos and the name of the club and so forth. 4,000 people showed up.
Didn't you guys sell out season tickets faster than like anyone has ever sold them out?
There's been not us. It's the company that owns it.
Yeah, right.
But they've sold over 6,500 season tickets.
That's just wild.
And actually, it's a deposit. People pay a deposit. Sure. But there's over 6,000, and that's from what they tell us. I don't know the league, because see, they're not in the top soccer league. They're in like the second tier.
Sure, it's
for
like
the men.
AAA baseball or something like that.
And they said that's the fastest and most anybody in that league across the United States has sold out like that. And then in 27. There's going to be a ladies pro soccer team, and it's going to be in the top league. I mean, it's going to be in the top league. I mean, there's a lot of activity going on there. It is incredible, and we're doing something with it because see, we haven't had horse racing there for 10, 11 years, and the reason is because horse racing is going away all across the country.
Sure,
in these small. The bigger tracks are still there. Sure. You know, Santa Anita, the Kentucky Derby, some of those, they're still there. But the small ones like we had here, they're gone. They're just too expensive, and
it's not the culture.
Well, and the people that were running them didn't want to. They had to subsidize it.
Yeah,
and they had gambling out at Expo. That's how they were subsidizing it. But the legislature again. The legislature said, you guys didn't tell us the truth. You Yeah, 250 slot because they were like slot machines because they were betting on old horse races, historical horse races, and so they told the legislature, well, yeah, there'll be a horse race that was done a number of years ago, and you can look at the jockey and the horses and so forth, and place your bet, and then watch the race. They said, well, and then how many machines you put in? Oh, probably about 50. And then he said, well, and you'll have to watch the race? Oh, yeah, it'd be about a 2-minute race or so, 3-minute race. Well, you didn't do any of that. They put 250, and you never watched a race. You place your bet.
And it was ding.
Ding. It's just like a slot machine. Well, the legislature said, no, we don't think so. There was even an initiative was passed to keep it going because the legislature repealed that section allowing for that. The governor vetoed it, but he delivered it to the legislature late, so the veto didn't hold.
Gosh.
And anyway,
that's wild.
But since then, see, that was a long time ago. That was 2010 maybe or 2011, something like that. And but it's been vacant. We had a bunch of old stables that were falling apart out there. We tore those down, and the racetrack was there, and now that they're all gone. And you got to go out there and look at it. And the company that is doing this, they're redoing the grandstands. They're gonna make it. Right now, I think they're limited to 6,500 or 7,000, something like that, just in capacity. Well, they're going to make it to where it's higher than that, higher capacity. That they're using the turf club that's there. That's going to be their luxury suites that they have people come in. You can get dinner and get a drink and stuff right there. And they're going to have the grandstands, and they're putting some like private.
Sorry about that. Yeah, keep going.
And they're putting some private. It's just going to be there's a lot of really good things going on in Ada County over the next year or two. And there's some other things that are, I'm not at liberty to talk about those yet, but there's some other things we're doing. We're just doing great stuff, and I enjoy doing it. And I've got good partners to do it with. We got a great staff. Yeah. And I'm just having fun. And I can tell. And I'm doing good stuff for the citizens of Ada County. This year, you hear, well, property taxes. Do you know our budget is $1.8 million less than it was last year?
No, I had no idea.
Find another budget around here that can say that.
Yeah, I don't know that I could. I'm talking to a lot of people, too.
$1.8 million. You look at last year's budget and compare it to this year's budget, it's $1.8 million less. Well, something else. It's something else. But again, it's interesting work. It's work where I can see we're making a difference, like at the Expo Idaho, like at the landfill. I mean, see, those are things that impact your lives. I mean, I know you in front of your house, you take your garbage cans out, and you don't give much. Oh, somebody's going to come pick it up.
Yeah, right.
But they bring it to us, and we process. In fact, there's another thing you probably don't know, that we process all. See, sewers, they produce sludge.
Yeah.
Meridian brings all their sludge to the landfill. And it produces some methane gas.
I'm not surprised about that.
Yeah. So it all works together. Yeah. That's good. Anyway, it's good to be here with you.
Rod, it's always great to see you. I loved learning about these things in Ada County. And again, without your willingness to tell me, I'd never find out about it. I don't want to cut you short, but I do have coming in from.
Well, I tell you what, when you want to go see that the gas plant, you just let us know, and we'll make a private tour for you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I do want to talk to who's a professional league of soccer. I'd love to connect with those guys and keep the momentum going. And
I can give you their contact information. Yeah, it's a group of local investors, and I'll get you their contact information if you want to talk to them. Yeah, because they're really excited, and they're top notch pros. They know what they're doing, and you got to go out there and take a look. Because see, once the fair was over, they started bulldozing doing things. They got things going. It's all benefiting Ada County, and it's benefiting them. It's it's a win-win.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just great.
Rod, we'll do it again. Thank you.
All right, thank you.